Hello, say Charat. I think that you have been pushing yourself away from some loved ones during the last years, and the reason for that separation was that they became radicals, extremists, and that polarization pushed you away. And this happened not because of you or because of them, but because of the simple fact that we are living in a time of extremes. These extremes are usually intentionally created by manipulators. This happens in all areas: politics, economy, sexuality, culture, food, and even health. But today we will focus on just one area. We'll talk about the type of manipulation that happens in the field of personal development. Two opposite narratives have gained an audience, and you need to pay close attention so you don't fall for them. On the one side, there are people who spread some mentality of victimization. These people say that nothing is your fault, that the world should pay for the injustices that you suffer, and that you need help for absolutely everything because trying to help yourself, self-help, that is an illusion. And on the other side, there are people who claim that you don't need help from anyone. They say that you can do it all. You just have to want it hard enough. And that if you have not accomplished something yet, it's because you didn't work hard enough. You hear this from motivational coaches whenever they say that you can accomplish every single dream that you have if you just work hard. So if you don't get the results you would like to have, at one extreme, you are not to blame for anything at all. On the other extreme, the fault is all yours for not working hard enough. We need to find a balance between these extremes. Whenever you hear either of these extreme narratives, please be very careful. Pay attention to the interests of the person who's speaking. Most of the time, their interests are not aligned with your own interests. You are not a victim of circumstance, but you're not powerful to be capable of doing everything either. It is important to find a balance. Extreme opinions are very good at getting attention. It has always been like that. But now, the conversations now being mediated by algorithms, by social media, what happens is that spreading these extreme ideas has become extremely efficient for the people who want to be heard. Because the algorithms of social media, they favor the engagement. And very few things are better than creating engagement than controversial ideas, radical speeches, extremist ideas. That is how you see so many eye-catching titles, infallible methods, all kinds of exaggeration to get your attention. Now, the problem is that, by definition, extremism is not a balanced path. Notice the meaning of the word. Extremists, they are on the edge, but there is no balance. So the extremists are unbalanced by definition. Since ancient Greek times, philosophers have discussed the advantages of moderation to balance out vices and virtues. Aristotle claimed that even great qualities need balance. Take courage, for example. Courage is a virtue, right? Someone at one extreme would not have courage at all, cowardly, but someone at the other extreme would be too courageous, would be a bit hasty. So there are issues with extremes. Even the extremes of a virtue like courage could put themselves and other people at risk. So why do we ignore that basic, that simple idea? Why are we out of balance and heading towards the extremes? The answer is simple. We're being pulled to the extremes because someone is trying to manipulate us in order to sell us an idea of some sort. Exaggerations sell. Radical ideas interfere with your emotions and make you act without reason. When we are involved in an issue or a topic, we get attached to some ideas. We give them more emotional value. Imagine, for example, a football fan. That person who is inside of the stadium, who got the best seat, that person really takes the victories and the defeats of their team very seriously. They may even cry if they lose the championship. However, a person who doesn't care about football is metaphorically and also literally outside of the stadium. The person who doesn't even have the patience to watch the game on TV is a person who doesn't care. They don't support any team in particular. For those who are outside, a decisive game for the team doesn't have emotional value. And football here, of course, is just a metaphor. It's an example. All areas of life have different emotional meaning depending on the person. could be investing in stocks or collecting trading cards or new car models or shoes or bags, even trips in restaurants. Some people love them, some people hate them. And other people don't care. They are on the outside. They simply don't care at all, depending on their level of engagement. And in the world of personal development, the same thing happens. There is extremism whenever you see people shouting from those stages in the coaching event, indoctrinating people with the message that everybody is able to do everything. And if it hasn't worked yet, it's because of their fault, because they didn't try hard enough. People who are not involved in personal development have access to a different perspective. It's like a little bit like being outside of the coaching event. And from the outside, you can notice the issues with extremism. Now, the problem is that the person who paid for the ticket so they can participate in a coaching event is already inside. They missed the chance to observe it from the outside. And they will struggle to detect some extreme message that makes no sense or that is plainly wrong. And this is the risk. In any polarizing discourse, whenever you are a regular consumer of that extremist point of view, you don't even notice that you are on the extreme, that you are on the edge. For somebody who is inside, the extreme is the normal. Just look at the transformations that have happened in the recent years in our society. I can imagine that in your life, in these recent years, you have drifted away from some people who you used to be quite close to, but because they started to follow some extreme ideas, it became difficult to just spend time with them. Isn't it true? Just tell me in the comments below. I always read them. Now, just try to think. Why did that person turn out to be so different to what you expected? Why did she start to send some extreme messages to the family group, to the friends chat group, to the point that it became unbearable to just chat with that person? The reason is that she started engaging with these extreme ideas and messages little by little. Maybe she started to watch some videos about extreme ideas, and that's where she discovered some extremist podcasts. But the worst is when she was added to an extremist messaging group, which is an echo chamber, a bubble where all the participants are sharing and approving and amplifying their extremism, often with fake news. It is kind of a brainwashing in which a relatively balanced person is at risk of becoming more and more extreme. Because when you are on the inside, you become emotionally involved. And the people who share the extreme ideas from the inside will exploit your emotional involvement to sell you an ideology by using exaggeration, extremism, radicalism. And the best way to protect yourself from this is by taking the responsibility to be mindful and avoid the extremes. Choose what makes most sense to you independently. Be responsible for your own conscious choices. You can think more clearly when you're not emotionally involved. In the example about personal development, emotional distancing helps you to see more clearly. So you're not a vulnerable victim. You're not unable to take control of your own life. But also, you're not a superpowered being able to conquer whatever you want to. The truth will not be at either extreme, but somewhere in the middle. On the one hand, it is true that there are some things that you cannot control, such as where you were born, the school you already went to, the privileges that you had or did not have. All of that, yeah, it does have an influence. On the other hand, it is also true that in order to begin the positive transformations in your life, you need to have the desire, the will. It is true that you can, within your limits, overcome some of the disadvantages that you have on your own. So a balanced point of view is the one that understands that there is some truth in different points of view, and also understands that extremism distorts and manipulates information to suit the interests of certain groups. So it is not true that you are able to do every single thing that you want to, but it's also not true that you need help for every single thing. So what you need to do is to make your own choices, responsibly and consciously. In episode 236 from the Hello Secharata series, we talked about this, the wrong way of thinking that transfers all your responsibility to others. A search for balance in personal development offers you different points of view, well-founded information, and most importantly, questions. Most of the time, we don't need fixed responses or doctrines. What we need is opportunities for reflection through well-formulated questions. This is Arata Academy's line of work with personal development. It respects your individuality, the specific aspects of your history, your context, your priorities. With all of this, then you can take responsibility for your own choices. But also understand and also accept that there are things out of your control. This is how you find the best choices in the middle, far from the extremes. If you're interested, if you want to know more, I invite you now to take a look at the material prepared in the link arata.se/personal development.